This is a tragedy, and it should never have happened.
Only on 10 TV, Columbus police admit they mishandled the case that could have put this accused child rapist away before he allegedly struck again. Keith Anthony Allen is currently charged with raping two 12-year-old girls and sexually assaulting a 14-year-old, all while knowing he was HIV positive. Good evening, I'm Jerry Revish.
And I'm Kristen Hartman. But as 10 TV reported last week, they aren't the first girls to tell officers Allen raped them. And what we found has Columbus police tonight admitting mistakes were made that allowed Allen to walk free. 10 TV's Glenn McIntyre is live at Columbus Police headquarters, where officials made that difficult admission.
Kristen, it's hard to imagine how this case could get more disturbing until you consider the possibility that it could have been prevented.
10 TV is not identifying this man to protect the anonymity of his 12 and 14-year-old sisters. They are two of the three girls accusing 27-year-old Keith Anthony Allen of sex crimes.
He said things to them along the lines of, "You are now my wife. If you even speak to another little boy, it is considered cheating on me. If anybody finds out about this, I will kill your families." And they were terrified. They believed it. You know, they didn't know what to do.
Prosecutors say a third girl, also 12, is pregnant by Allen. All three of them exposed to HIV.
You rob them of the essence of being a kid. How can you do that?
But as 10 TV reported last week, this isn't the first time Allen has been charged with sex crimes against a child.
I kept on asking him to get off me. He said no. He said, "Oh, it won't hurt. Don't tell nobody." And I was scared. I mean, I was 14.
In 2013, Allen was charged with sexual imposition against this girl. That case was supposed to be sent for felony prosecution, but tonight Columbus police admit that didn't happen.
There were allegations made against the suspect. Initially, they were believed to be misdemeanors. It made it all the way up to the day of the court appearance, and at that point, there were new allegations made, which rose it to the level of a felony. From that point, it's removed from the misdemeanor courts. It's at that time, the process is the detective will take that case and then present it over to common pleas.
Sergeant Rich Weiner says questions raised by 10 TV led the Division of Police to discover the case was never prosecuted.
We made an error at that point. It should have made it over to the prosecutor's office for felony charges, and it didn't.
What do you say to that original accuser's family about that?
It's one of those things where this is a tragedy and it should never have happened. And for that, you know, we're trying to rectify that and make the process as smooth as it can be from this point out.
In this current case, we have two 12-year-old girls exposed to HIV, one of them pregnant as a result of the allegations against him. Could that have been prevented?
It's hard to say if it could have been prevented or not, but we absolutely would have preferred to have had a shot to put him behind bars the first time.
Who lets a guy like that walk?
Tonight, the brother of Allen's latest accusers calls this news a punch to the gut.
This isn't just a case of things happen. This is a man ruining lives by everything he touches, and it's not just the children, it's the adults around them. I mean, how do you lose track of something that serious?
Tonight, Columbus police say they have started an internal investigation to determine just how this happened. Supervisors have reviewed that 2013 case and say it will be presented to the Franklin County Prosecutor's Office for felony charges by the end of this week. As for those accusers, we are told all three girls so far have tested negative for HIV. Keith Allen remains jailed on $1 million bond tonight. You'll find all of our previous coverage on this story on 10tv.com. Reporting live at police headquarters, Glenn McIntyre, 10 TV News.
Well, they say you can tell a lot about a person by their penmanship. A Hilliard 10-year-old is receiving some serious recognition for his writing ability. In a time when most kids prefer to communicate via touchscreen, 10 TV's Glenn McIntyre shows us what a little boy has achieved with good old pencil and paper.
In this age of tech and texting, some call handwriting a lost art. Some schools have gone as far as deleting cursive from their curriculum.
What's the need for cursive anymore?
That's a good question.
But don't tell that to Jacob Donahue.
I go to St. Brandon's and I am 10 years old. I'm in 4th grade.
He and the written language of longhand go back a long way.
In 2nd grade, I liked it right away.
Why is that?
It looks like curly lines.
Does it look pretty?
Yes, it looks pretty.
Any other reasons?
I write neater and faster than Prince.
But getting to neat didn't come fast for Jacob.
What do you do when you mess up? You always erase the letters and keep practicing.
Let's write them down.
Jacob has required a little more practice than his classmates at St. Brendan's in Hilliard. His mother explains why.
He has basically autism spectrum disorder.
Which is why Jacob works with classroom aide Amy Freelou.
Having autism, fine motor skills are very difficult, and he works really hard. He works with an OT every week, and they work on those skills and practice, and so for him to have won this award is just, it's huge.
Did we mention Jacob won an award?
I won a contest.
Not just any contest.
The National Handwriting Contest.
Wow. How did you feel about that?
I feel good about that.
For his mom,
Yeah.
the feeling is better than good.
When I was pregnant, I had appendicitis, and the doctors gave him kind of like 40% chance of living. Wow. So for him to be where he is and doing as well as he's doing is kind of a gift to me.
That's not the only time Jacob would be counted out by others.
You know, every once in a while you hear something like, oh, well, you know, maybe he can do, you know, this instead of, you know, maybe being an engineer. Maybe he can just be a technician or something, you know. It's a little disheartening.
You're doing a fabulous job, 4th grade.
For her, this award is a statement about more than her son's way with a pencil.
You can reach higher. You can go for the same goals that everybody else goes for.
And while not all of Jacob's friends are sold on script,
They should practice cursive writing.
And what if they say it's too hard?
I would say you can do it, and I would tell them to practice. And say never give up.
like the boy with the golden pencil, don't write off cursive just yet.
If I can do it, they can do it too.
Glenn McIntyre, 10 TV News.
Earlier this week, 10 TV reported on accusations of inappropriate comments and behavior in the office of Fairfield County Prosecutor Greg Marks. Tonight, the Assistant Prosecutor Jeff Hunter, accused of sexual harassment, has resigned. Marks has also agreed to an independent investigation of his office. And Marks sat down with 10 TV's Glenn McIntyre. Glenn, what does he have to say about these accusations?
Tracy, quite a bit. Current and former employees accuse Marks and one of his top prosecutors of behavior that left them feeling harassed and bullied. They say when Marks wasn't making inappropriate comments himself, he was turning a blind eye to misbehavior by his top criminal prosecutor, a man who tonight is out of a job.
Greg Marks has been prosecuting felony cases for more than 30 years. This week, the Fairfield County prosecutor found himself on the defense after reports emerged of multiple employees alleging misconduct in his office.
It wasn't like meeting up with somebody in a dark coat closet and fondling them. It wasn't that. It was these offhand remarks, you know, that were inappropriate.
These women, both of whom have worked for Marks, spoke to us on the condition of anonymity. They say some of the harassment they witnessed and endured was overt, some was subtle, but the result was no less harmful.
One of my coworkers had to wear bandages on her hands because she was so anxious and depressed that she literally rubbed the skin off of her top of her hands and her wrists because of the mental strain of working there, not because of something else, but because of working there.
Marks denies doing anything wrong.
People can say anything. If you're not subject to cross-examination, you can say any word you want.
If you get enough people saying the same thing and telling the same story, Don't you have to give that some serious consideration?
Responsible journalists wouldn't.
Fairfield County Human Resources records obtained by 10 TV detail accusations from 5 different women who've worked for Marks. Many of the claims are directed at Marks' chief criminal prosecutor, Jeff Hunter. One woman said, "I wouldn't have wanted to be in a closed room with him." She said Hunter once thanked me for being his secretary, shook my hand, and kissed me on top of my head. At first, she said, it struck her as weird, but she later realized that's inappropriate. It shouldn't have been done. Another told HR that Hunter told her of a former receptionist and about how he liked her because she took nude pictures when she went on vacation and came back and showed him. A third employee said he informed her he'd recommended her for a raise, then immediately asked her to meet him alone outside of the office, an allegation Hunter denied to HR. On another occasion, the same woman said Hunter texted her, "It's Bill Cosby, I'd like to pour you a drink." Hunter told HR the text was a joke, calling it innocuous.
I would never permit anyone in my office to mistreat anyone. And if I felt that there was some mistreatment going on, I would investigate that.
Your employees say that's just not the case.
I think the people you're referring to are former employees that all are good friends. Some may even work together. They're disgruntled. Their files are papered with discipline.
One employee leveled harassment accusations directly at Marks himself. She told Human Resources that after returning from a cruise with his wife, Marks told her, "Next time we ought to see if I can take you. I don't know if my wife would like that. Maybe we won't take her." In another incident, she says Marks told her, "I'm not so sure if we were both single, I wouldn't just sweep you up and marry you."
Absolutely not.
She's lying.
On that?
Okay. I talked to a former employee of this office who was a supporter of yours who said, I have nothing bad to say about Greg Marks. I posed those statements to her and she said, yeah, I can see him saying that.
I'm not going to comment on that.
This woman said, I can see him saying that, but I don't think he knows what he's saying is bad.
Everyone can use help in training on words to use when you talk to people. I never would deliberately make any offer to anyone. That's frankly ludicrous.
So all of these women are liars?
I don't know every single thing they've said, but the allegation about me is absolutely not true. Mr. Hunter has told me the allegations about him are absolutely not true.
In September, the County Human Resources Director alerted Marks to significant concerns raised by several employees and recommended an outside review of the allegations. Fairfield County Commissioners supported that recommendation and offered to pay for it, but because Marks is elected, they have no power to force an independent assessment. Marks says an investigation paid for by the county wouldn't be objective.
Sexual harassment is a serious problem. If it exists in this office or any other office, that is something that needs to be looked into. However, these complaints are politically motivated, in my opinion.
Are you suggesting that the women are working in some way with the commissioners, that this is...
They're working with someone.
Now, we spoke to Fairfield County Commissioner Steve Davis about that accusation. He said the county commissioners are just doing our job and we can't address any unfounded concerns Marks might have. As for Marks' statements about his accusers having lengthy disciplinary records, 10 TV has requested to review the personnel files of those women. Marks' office is still in the process of preparing them for us to look at. Today, in addition to announcing the resignation of Hunter, Marks said he will allow an outside investigation and is creating an office ombudsman position as an advocate for his employees. This afternoon, we spoke by phone with Jeff Hunter. He said, quote, "I have never, ever kissed anyone in the office on the hand, head, or anywhere. I've never done that on the job. I've never mistreated an employee ever." He added that in his entire career, he has never had a complaint of any kind prior to this. You'll hear much more from the women on 10tv.com. Tracy.
All right, Glenn, thank you.